Okay, so my name is Ben. Yes, I know. So I know a lot of you are wondering where the heck was I for 10 weeks during the summer? Well, maybe more than 10 weeks. It's because I was riding my bike across the U.S. I know, I'm crazy. So, and the reason why I'm talking today isn't because I just love to do vacation show and tell. It's because this is actually a mission effort. This is a Christian effort. So I figured you would want to know about this, right? This is pretty cool. Okay. So it's called the Fuller Center Bike Adventure, and there you can see the picture at the top with all of us at the start. That's Seattle, and at the bottom, that's the capital in D.C. Not exactly the same people, because not everybody went the whole way. I did, but not everyone. Okay, so quickly, what is it? It's a cycling event. It started way back in 2008 for the Fuller Center for Housing. I will describe that a little bit more. And it's just all sorts of people are on the ride. I was one of the youngest people, actually, because, you know, most people are retired. Okay, that's me, yes. So along the way, besides riding, we also build and rehabilitate housing, because that's what the Fuller Center for Housing, that's what they do. Okay, so, everyone wants to know this. So our route is this blue line, this dark blue line, Seattle to DC, but the Fuller Center Bike Adventure does all sorts of rides, and you can see the other routes that they do on the West Coast, in Florida, and whatever. In fact, there's one going on right now. I think it's the Natchez Trace. So anyways, they do a bunch of rides. I wanted to do the big one, right? Why not? Okay. A little bit of the who, what, when, why, where. So why do we do it? Well, okay, so while we're riding around, we give some talks. And see this picture in the upper right is our ride leader, Neil. He's actually an employee of the Fuller Center. So he was giving a talk to a church there that we were in. See, now I forgot where we were. We were in the Midwest somewhere, and we were giving a talk to some church members. And of course, there's fundraising associated with this ride. So although, believe it or not, the cost for me to do the trip was only $400, there's fundraising required, to go on for me to do it. So it was $5,600. I raised a little bit more than that. Some of you contributed. Thank you so much. All of that money went to do the Fuller Center's work in building and repairing houses. So it didn't go to support me. I paid for that part. Why is it so cheap? I'll talk about that later. Okay, so so Fuller Center for Housing provides decent housing. If you have ever heard of Habitat for Humanity, right? I'm sure you guys know what that is. Same founders. Okay, I'll describe that a little bit later. So it's kind of like Habitat. I think it's the improved Habitat. Okay, the new improved Habitat. Okay, so some of these numbers I think are out of date. The money raised from this year's ride, I want to say it's around $200,000 just for this route, right? The blue line. All together, it's like $800,000, which is pretty amazing, and it's still going on, right, for the whole year. It's all the riders. So thank you for being part of that. Okay, that's me. Okay, more about the Fuller Center. Okay, so it's a Christian organization. It's a nonprofit. They want to end poverty housing. Okay, I don't want to go through all this stuff, but if you've ever done work with Habitat, it's like zero interest loans for people to buy or get money to repair their homes. I think it's a 15-year loan. So it helps people who can't afford a traditional loan. They can't afford anything, so they apply for Fuller help, and then Fuller has the money to help them get started, and they have to do some of the work themselves. That's part of the deal. And then that when they pay back their loan, that money then goes and builds someone else's house. So the money just keeps going, right? The more it gets repaid, then it helps someone else. Okay. It's international, so I believe it's in 20 countries. Fuller Center is in 20 countries. One of the countries is Uganda. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about that later. Okay, so more history. So Habitat, founded by Millard and Linda, up in the upper right-hand corner, right? Jimmy Carter, right? For those of you, but you know Jimmy Carter, okay, right? So that's them, right? They actually were asked to leave Habitat in the early aughts. I think it's because this is my reading of it, is that the Habitat is big now, right? So now it's like big company, big overhead, big bureaucracy. They didn't like that, so they said, and they spoke out about it. And I guess the board was like, okay, no, okay, you guys got to go if you. so they went and founded Fuller, which is kind of like their original, the way they like it, right? It's grassroots. So it's very cool. Okay, just some stats here. Essentially, I should mention this picture. So the picture in the lower right is, that's in Uganda. That was taken earlier this year in February. And the guy there is Ryan. He's the international director. I almost met him, actually. I almost met him because he goes, oh, Ben, you're going to be in Uganda. I said, oh, you're coming to Uganda? He said, yeah, I'm going to be there too. And then it just didn't work out. So I didn't get to meet him. Otherwise, maybe I would have been in the photo too. So whatever. He's more important than me. I just happened to be there, and I said, oh, it'd be fun to hook up. So, you know, basically the Fuller Center works all over the globe, that map in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, some examples of things that have been, that need rehabilitation. It's a big problem, right? Housing, even here in the Bay Area, right? Okay, so well, there he is again, Uganda again. They make an argument about how homes are essential for communities and families and children. I mean, of course, right? I guess we take it for granted, but you know, in Uganda in particular, I see people that they don't have good housing, and they're just like living out on the street. So that's tough. Fuller Center for Housing aims to solve that. Okay, this slide is well, it's trying to tell you about the low overhead that the Fuller Center has. I think when I looked it up, Habitat is like 25%. So don't quote me on that, but that's pretty high, right? So 25 cents out of every dollar goes to paying salaries and stuff. Fuller is like 5%. And for our bike ride in particular, because not all the money comes from the bike ride, but for the bike ride in particular, I think it's even lower. It's like 3%. And for those of you who donated to me, I covered your overhead, so it's 100% for you. Okay? So, anyways, pretty awesome. Okay, this is a big advertisement. The main thing would be, I'm actually doing a ride next year in Alaska. I like it so much. They're doing an Alaska ride. So I will come back next year and ask you. It's not until like August, and then I'll say, hey, I need, because there's fundraising required for that too. So anyways. I've never been to Alaska, so that's what appealed to me. Okay, there's Fuller Centers all over the U.S. It turns out the closest one to the Bay Area is Mendocino, so not exactly close. There is a coast ride next year, which I'm not going on. They're going to do something in Mendocino, but I'm not going to be part of that. Well, I guess I could, if I'm around, I could drive up there and help out. They also have global mission trips to build stuff in other countries. Unfortunately, not in Uganda, because otherwise I would do it because I'm there. In Uganda, they send money to groups and the covenant partner, and the covenant partner does all the construction. So you can't really build in Uganda. So but there's other places that people go. I think, is it Puerto Rico or Costa Rica or something like that? Okay. But this is what everyone wants to know, because whenever they say, oh, what was the ride like, blah, blah, blah. So here's all the stats. 4,000 miles. I know that sounds like a long ways. And actually, if you know other people who've ridden across the U.S., that's actually long. And typically it's around 3,500, maybe even as low as 3,100 miles for people who do it on their own. We didn't take the fastest route, because our route goes through cities where we build stuff, right? We have to go through Fuller Centers where we build homes or work on homes. So that's what we do. So it's longer than it needed to be. 71 days end to end, but we only rode on 54 of those days. That's because for all Sundays were worship days, right? We go to church. And then 7 more when we were building stuff. So we don't ride on those days. 54 riding days. But on the days we rode, it was an average of 73 miles. It typically wasn't 73, it was something more or less. Right, longest day was 102. Yeah?
So the 7th build day, meaning the whole day you do building?
Yeah, like 9 to 3 with a lunch break. Yeah. And we didn't even finish a lot of stuff that we did. We could have taken more time. But yeah, it's pretty much the whole day. Not all of it is where we're staying. Sometimes we have to get driven out, and then we do the work and come back. And then, yeah, of course, you got to clean up, take a shower, and all that stuff. So, okay, fully supported, right? People who do cross-country rides, you see all the bags on the bike. No, we don't do that. It's all carried in a van and a trailer. You'll see pictures of it. So I don't have to carry anything. It's just like going for a ride, you know, around the Bay Area. So that's very nice. We did not eat well. Some of you might know this, right? It only cost me $400, right? So it's